Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Mailchimp and crypto companies in trouble. ETH and the merge coming up. We're going to get into that. And is Congress taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back? We're going to get into that. Trial of the century. XRP rewards card program. Hello, XRP is money, not a security. And we got Jeremy Hogan on the latest from the Ripple case. You're going to want every bit of it. Is a settlement closer than we think? One gentleman puts up some points that are all worth considering. How about Larry Fink from BlackRock? How about Mark Carney from formerly the head of the Bank of England talking about a global reserve currency, and it may not be the US dollar? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or Facebook for exclusive content. It's a $1.2 trillion market cap for crypto. Good afternoon. It's August 11th, 2022. Bitcoin right now, $24,200 plus. Ethereum, $1,800 plus. And we see XRP at the number 6 spot coming in at 37 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, Coin Paprika. Download the app for your phone. It is a fantastic app. And we are over the next near term. And I love working with these guys, but I love the product that they have even more. I got to be honest with you. There are some great things to get out of this app. And over the coming weeks and months, we're going to dive down into it and learn about it. I mean, so many good metrics there. Look at this very quickly. Talk about loving to work with somebody, and I love being a customer even more, and you're about to find out. I just bought into another painting. It wasn't Lucio Fontana, but look at the returns here. His work, or their work, is outpacing here the 0.92% to the S&P 0.55. You can compare it to the corporate U.S. bond market as well. Crushing it against gold as well. Crushing it against the U.S. housing market. I love this metric. So even if you're not into art and understand fine art, for the first time in the world, you can actually participate in the best art. And let me tell you something. These are very uncertain times. And this is absolutely one of the asset classes that the richest people of the world have been parking their money during times like this. And now I'm doing it too. And one of my many creeds in investing has been, I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars. This is what the richest people of the world are doing. And now I'm doing it too in my own way with Masterworks. And I just bought right here, I think it was this artist, I can't remember her name, but really, really great returns here. Let me see if I can find her in this very quickly if I could, because it's not coming up. But I tell you, look for her painting. It's almost fully vested. That's another thing I love. This thing is getting ready to be on the shelf. Can't get any more shares. Link underneath the video. Email trouble. Mailchimp has suspended the accounts of several crypto companies, according to CoinDesk, including Masari Crypto. Oh, geez, Ryan, you really hate to see it. You know, all that bad karma talking trash on Ripple and XRP, maybe some of that's found its way back to your doorstep, huh? Maybe. JP Morgan, Ethereum miners face an abrupt change following the merge. Ethereum Classic miners are likely to be among the main beneficiaries of the shift to proof-of-stake validation, the bank said. But let's understand this. We know JP Morgan is behind Ethereum in the EEA and certainly consensus. And Ethereum, if anything else we've learned in the whole ETHgate process, is that there's no question that Ethereum is not decentralized. That is for damn sure. But this is Kava Networks right here, and they are leading the Cosmos ecosystem with 24 plus protocols on Kava Network, and they're preparing for Kava 11 launch September 8th. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. They've got over 320 million in total value locked up in smart contracts. They are not messing around. There's no grass growing underneath their feet. There's a link in the description. Go check them out and give them a like and follow. Elizabeth Warren, however, look at this. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren says the investigation by the Fed's Inspector General into Federal Reserve officials withholding information on trading was troubling. Troubling is certainly one word to describe it. These central bankers sold at the very top as they pumped endless liquidity. Yeah, they did do that. And I tell you something, Elizabeth, right while you're turning that high-powered perception on, which is great, they should be held accountable. But guess who else should be too? Nancy Pelosi and her husband for all the trades they've made. If you're going to go there, then let's go all the way there. No half measures. Brian Brooks, Christian Carlo, I'm calling for help. I sure hope they don't undo the incredible work you've done for clarity. And I really hope that they don't. Senator Warren and Bernie Sanders, career politicians here, ask key banking regulator to rescind crypto guidance. All the work that has been done by Brian Brooks, they're looking to untie it. I tell you, this is what is going on. For the work that has been done, they're looking to untie it. It is embarrassing, I tell you, but these people don't embarrass very easily at all. That is for sure. If there's one thing we know about them, that's a fact. They are asking to rescind all the work that Brian Brooks has done to bring clarity to the banking world and the finance world when it comes to crypto custody services, issuing payments with stablecoins and bank stablecoin issuers. What a mess they have made of this, right down to the definition of broker-dealer being messed up. It's unbelievable. There's an old saying, you could screw up ice cream. Yeah, that's exactly what Congress could do. They could screw up ice cream. This is a must-read thread right here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to read it to you. I did cover this quickly yesterday, but there is something very, very bothersome and certainly disturbing, if you will, that mainstream media, Melissa Lee, Brian Kelly, Andrew Sorkin, Joe Squawk there, Joe Kernan, and everybody there, and certainly CNBC Fast Money, have ignored the trial of a century and over 70,000 of us XRP holders that have been harmed by the SEC. When they used to, back in the day, they used to show you in this video how to actually buy XRP. Very disturbing. And Becky Quick, where are you at? Where are you at on all this? Let's cover one of the greatest financial stories of the century right here with ETHgate, the SEC, and certainly how the holders of XRP have been harmed by the SEC in 8 years of dereliction of duty if they were going to bring a charge against Ripple. Asset management giant BlackRock, a week after linking up with Coinbase, has unveiled a new spot Bitcoin private trust offering. Direct access to cryptocurrency for the first time. Well, of course they did, because this is how it works, ladies and gentlemen. There has always been a hierarchy as to who gets to make money first and who gets to make money last. Institutions like BlackRock are always first, and their rich clients are second, and we saw that evidence this week. And yes, retail is last. But don't believe it. It's staring us right in our face. And that's the truth. Right here. BlackRock launches private trust offering to their clients exposure to Bitcoin, while the retail investors running around scared, wondering where this market's going to go. Well, their richest clients aren't confused. BlackRock's not confused. They're opening the doors so they can get their bags full. And I'm using that as a metric to understand where we're really going, not financial advice. Crypto demands pushes Charles Schwab to launch new ETF despite Bitcoin crash. Here's more evidence for me that I need to see. They're in here and they're not leaving. Matter of fact, they're digging their heels in. So am I. First, Australia's XRP rewards card program launches. Here's why this is important, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's important because it means XRP's money, not a security. They're not handing out shares over there. This rewards card program is all about bringing additional value to our customers and crypto spend card holders by rewarding crypto spend card users up to 3% back in XRP through crypto spend app on the same day they spend. It provides another fantastic value for our customers. Well said, and I like it a lot. So let's keep it going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put the pressure on the U.S. court system and the SEC. They already look dumb as hell anyway on their own work, on their own hard work. And no better person to point some of that out than Jeremy Hogan in Legal Briefs right here. We're going to take a quick listen to a couple highlights. As always, Jeremy has a great video. Let's take a listen to some of this here. I'm going to cue this up for us if I can get it going. Now, of course, as a YouTuber, you have to remember I have about 7,000 tabs open at the top of my screen. But this is what we got here for you. We want to start here. First of all, go watch the whole video because, as always, I'm skipping over a lot of incredible stuff just to give you some highlights quickly. We got a lot to go over yet.
XRP and its security status, or perhaps more specifically, a lot of confusion about its security status, and which confusion was provided to market participants. If the SEC runs out of ways to hide the emails, well, here's the headline. Quote, John Deaton says Hinman's docs will never see the light of day. SEC may settle with Ripple rather than surrender documents, close quote. In other words, this issue may be the most important legal issue to be ruled on next to summary judgment. So, knowing that everything might be riding on this, let's start with the SEC's appeal, which was filed about 2 weeks ago. Now, technically, this was not an appeal, but an objection to Judge Netburn's order forcing the turnover of the emails. Judge Netburn is a magistrate judge, and she can be appealed to a circuit judge, which is Judge Torres.
Which is what we're dealing with here in the next steps of what's going on. Now, let me move this ahead very quickly because we want to grab this spot here. And again, watch this whole video. As you know, Jeremy's on the ball
before the agency,
incredible.
Close quote. And there you have it. The argument in essence is that the SEC and agencies like it are special, and it can be both a personal speech and also an official position of that person's division. And therefore, because this was the division's opinion as well as Mr. Hinman's, it was indeed an official deliberation which took place in those emails. Now, just for the brief, the SEC apparently has come up with a fourth argument as to what the speech was. For purposes of this brief, the Hinman speech was, quote, Director Hinman's speech, which he gave while he was the head of CorpFin, provided guidance to market participants about how staff in that SEC division would analyze whether offers and sales of digital assets constitute securities under Supreme Court precedent, close quote. And there you have again the numero cuatro variant. The speech was a statement as to how the Division of Corporate Finance would analyze digital assets. And not only that, the SEC has now added officially that the speech, quote, provided market guidance to the public about how that would work.
It just doesn't end with the SEC and the many different stances that they try to take throughout this case to suit their own position at the moment they're in. It is really despicable, to be honest with you, but we got to keep listening. He has some more great information for us.
The SEC's constantly changing position. And as vanilla as most of the brief was, Solomon couldn't help but get a zinger in. And here it is in what will be your favorite part of the brief at the bottom of page 3. It's a little long, but it's good. Quote, when it suited the SEC, the agency argued that the speech reflected only Hinman's personal views and disclaimed that he was speaking about SEC policy. Only after maintaining that position for nearly a year and after Judge Netburn credited those representations and held that the communications about what the speech should say are not privileged, did the SEC change its story, arguing now that the speech was guidance to market participants. The SEC's real objection appears to be that Judge Netburn did not accept SEC's invitation to retreat from her findings when the SEC, apparently realizing belatedly the legal implications of its efforts to characterize the speech as a personal outside activity of Hinman, sought to put the toothpaste back in the tube and rely on self-contradictory lawyer argument to avoid the consequences of its litigation strategy. But that was not error. It was the faithful application of law to facts. The SEC's objection must be denied, close quote.
No doubt, and it must be denied because he's going to go on and tell you here something very, very important that you need to know, because if it goes the distance and they push and push and push and appeal to the Second Circuit, well, let Jeremy tell you.
But all is not lost for the SEC, you SEC fanboys, because there is still a final avenue for the SEC, which is to file an appeal to the Second Circuit. And here's where I have to deliver bad news for you Ripple fanboys. That takes a long time, and here's how long. The objection to Judge Torres will be fully briefed on or about August 16. Judge Torres moves quickly on the simple rulings, but apparently takes a long time on reasoned opinions where she writes a lengthy order. So far in the Ripple case, we've seen her take at least a month and usually longer on those type of orders, so we are not even going to get her order probably until September at the earliest, and maybe even later in the year. Then, assuming Ripple wins, the SEC has to ask Judge Torres to certify the email issue to the Second Circuit, and that has to be briefed, which is a problem because even if Judge Torres realizes this issue is going to mess up her November 15 briefing schedule, she simply cannot push this email issue along fast enough to get all of the SEC's possible options concluded before summary judgment. In other words, if the SEC wants, which it does want, it can put off handing over these emails until past November 15, maybe way past November 15, which puts Ripple in a bit of a pickle. Does it say, screw it, and move forward into summary judgment without the emails? Or does it move to continue the summary judgment date until later in order to allow it to get the emails first and delay the case, stunting its growth, pushing back its IPO, and all those horrible things? Decisions, decisions. But the SEC also has some hard choices because if it moves forward with the appeal to the Second Circuit and eventually loses, the SEC risks binding case precedent that allows parties to obtain its internal emails, and that's not case law the SEC wants floating around.
And there it is right there. And then that's going to take us to this. And thank you so much for that, Jeremy Hogan. You're amazing. And you always has something funny in the videos. And there is something in that when you need to watch it. This here was a question that was asked by Mickle.xrp here. And it says, if Judge Torres orders for an in-camera review of all the emails, why would Ripple ever need to see them? The cat would already be out of the bag for summary judgment. But Bill says here, legal analyst, the judge viewing them in camera does not put them into evidence if the objection of the SEC is upheld or it ultimately wins on appeal, and she cannot take them into account in deciding the summary judgment motions if they do not go into evidence. So that's a key thing to understand as well. This is a thread by Tim Howard here, and I think he makes some valid points that are at least worth considering. But let me say this. I am prepared for this case to go to the Supreme Court. I believe that it probably will. And that doesn't mean that we won't get a decision that allows Ripple and XRP to move forward. And it doesn't mean that we won't get a decision that may shut the door to retail investors if you're not accredited or more. All of these things are possible. Nothing is guaranteed. But I want you to take this thread for what it is. Tim Howard shares his thoughts here, and I think it's worth sharing with all of you and the points to consider. He says, I still think a settlement is closer than we think for the following reasons. Gensler's first full financial year ends in September since he's been at the SEC. He has to date brought in almost no money. Next year, he most likely will step down given the new day is coming. Speech, so he will want big settlement in bag. On his scoreboard, on his resume, right? Secondly, Brad Garlinghouse confirmed that they are interested in some of Celsius assets and will look at it after trial ends. It won't be way in the future for obvious reasons. There is no sense in his statement if Ripple are still looking at 6 more months on this trial. That is an amazing perspective right there. That insight right there is pretty incredible if he's on point. Thirdly, SEC will not wait for Torres' decision on appeal of attorney-client privilege or DPP, because if they lose, and this most likely will do as per John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan, it could lock in precedent for any other token sued by the SEC. This is a very lasting thing they do not want, right? So fourth, those emails absolutely will never, ever see the light of day again. I completely agree with that and always have. They very likely will expose huge corruption and fraud within the second and ETHgate, or within the SEC and ETHgate, excuse me. The SEC absolutely will settle before they ever release the emails, and I certainly believe that as well. Considering all above, it boils down to when best suits Gensler aspirations. I think he will not want what is likely to be his first and only full financial year to show zero income, that the year ends in September. Tim Howard says, a lot of messages about the SEC already pulling in money in this financial year. It's not just about money. This is the biggest financial trial in history. Gensler will want that win in his name, a settlement that allows him a win but gives XRP clarity going forward. Gensler could be forced to step down any time after the midterms in order to avoid answering congressional questions. He's not going to allow next chair to take his credit for the win. And I think he makes a good point there. When it comes to all of this, we're going to see how this plays out, obviously, and it's going to tell on all of us. But I think Tim is making some fantastic points here. And Ripple does just want to move forward to an IPO and other plans. Settlement suits them once it includes clarity for XRP. I think it's just so well said. It is worth noting. It doesn't guarantee it. Now, we always see technical analysts share things like this where they take a screenshot of this fractal that happened in 2017, 2018, and stick it on the current day and the current position we're in. We can't know if this will happen, right? We can't. But it did happen once before. I was here for it. It happened in 2017, 2018. But this is what I can tell you. If we get the clarity in this case resolved, if we get a public exit to an IPO for Ripple, and it's game on, and U.S. is coming out and joining on to it the way the rest of the world has, I don't see this as a problem at all. Now, that's not financial advice. I'm sharing my digital perspectives about the fundamental news that I feel we still need to truly move the needle on this chart. I really do believe we have to see it, because I believe there's a path, and the path just may be that this is Mark Carney, former president of the Bank of England, and Larry Fink from BlackRock talking just probably 24 months ago, 2 years, tops. And what they're talking about here, and they're talking about Bitcoin and the desire for their clients to want to know about Bitcoin, but the conversation shifts as well. And I'm going to start it right here so we can hear it. Take a listen.
About it, to me, is a very telling sign. Another good example why understanding big data, like how many hits and all that, really is a defining statement. And so we look at it as something is real, but it's still untested. It still has many. We have to go through many markets to see if it's going to be permanently real.
He's talking about Bitcoin, but they know that people want it because they had people hit the site for like 600,000 hits on their site when it came to Bitcoin as opposed to other metrics.
Or it's going to be a variant of that sometime in the future. Lastly, because we're running out of time, I would just say, having a digital currency has real impact on the U.S. dollar, because having a digital currency makes the need for the U.S. dollar to be less relevant. The U.S. and I'm not talking about for Americans. I'm talking about for international holders of dollar-based assets. The question I would raise, and maybe another time Mark and I could talk about it, does it change the need for dollar reserve as a reserve currency if there was a true digital currency that was separated from dollar-based assets and other things like that? So many questions need to be answered before I could say, is it real and alive? But it certainly has created a lot of imagination.
A lot of imagination, and it certainly has, even inside of Larry Fink from BlackRock talking to Mark Carney from the Bank of England, who came up with this with the Group of 30 a couple years ago, which was to use a global official sector stablecoin, and then cites Ripple and XRP as that global official sector stablecoin. 2019, it came out in 2020, but he said it in 2019. And he's talking to Larry Fink about it right here. I catch a lot of hell talking about XRP being price set, being a global stable coin, and having a price set or a price floor. But I tell you what, they're talking about something being a cryptocurrency and not the US dollar, and being a stable coin, being something that they can use and rely on. Guess who else talks about it? The Bank of China. And this was just back here in July 25th of this year. And let me get you to the part that really makes sense, is when they talk about how it could be done, when it's not really backed by just currencies, but such as a US dollar, a basket of currencies, right? A stable exchange rate. This is what they're talking about. To maintain the stability of Ripple, they mean Ripple coin XRP. They talk about a stable exchange rate is formed by anchoring various legal currencies like the US dollar, the pound, the yen, right? So on and so on. A basket of currencies and a combination of commodities like gold. And isn't it better to have some of all of those things in a weighted way? A weighted averages? The currency has a stable support, preferably one-to-one reserve, and a safety and liquidity of the reserve must be guaranteed. That's the Bank of China just a week or 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. And then we had this of November of last year, where we had the World Bank tell us that stable coins for cross-border payment are in fact Ripple's XRP and Stellar's XLM. When you hear me talk about XRP being a stable coin or price set, I believed that before I had a YouTube channel. My first video was about 589 not being a riddle, but being about the COMEX rule for gold and about how they could use the COMEX rule to halt the market, reprice gold, because of being able to say that we had to halt the market and reprice it because we're resetting the monetary system. That's what we could be seeing. And we look at this from Riz right here and see this illustration and understand what SBI's been doing over in Japan, knowing more than 40% of Japan is tied in the banking system and connections and partnerships to Ripple. Is this possible? Is it not possible? What does this come down to? I think this comes down to percentages. 95% of the customers to Ripple are outside of the United States. In fact, at this point, the only one left to join the crew is the United States. And what if that's deliberately done because we need to legally define what the XRP token and the ledger is? Because you can't regulate what hasn't been defined. This, I believe, is the moment we're in. And that weaponized case that was brought by Jay Clayton at the SEC may just turn out to slingshot Ripple and XRP to the front of the line with the clarity that not one other asset on earth will have sooner rather than later. That's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like and subscribe. I'll catch all of you on the next one.